So with Phase 3 hitting Vanilla Fresh servers very soon, lots of players are still looking ahead to the tasty release of fresh Burning Crusade, hopefully with us sometime towards the end of 2025 or the start of 2026. But just why are players so desperate to jump back in? Besides the fact that we haven't seen Burning Crusade since we said goodbye to it in 2022. And well, just why do players love Burning Crusade so much? Let's take a quick look. Questing in Burning Crusade was fantastic when it came to the quest progressions themselves as well as each zone. Somehow each zone really did have its own unique mark and design. I mean, when you think about it, how on earth did they make it feel like Hellfire Peninsula, Zangarmarsh and Nagrand could all feel connected somehow as part of one expansion? I mean, it beats me, but the progression throughout each zone really does feel somehow differentiated and new but inherently adjoined to the previous zone you were just in. And it doesn't feel like they're just randomized. And they definitely carry through a lot of the deep themes like the threat of the Legion. And in all of this we get arguably some of my favourite zones in the game like Shadowmoon Valley. I mean, in an expansion full of Fellfire commanded by the Burning Legion, it only felt right to have a huge area that was essentially on fire. Burning Crusade really streamlined your quests to remain typically in one zone at a time, and whilst this removed a bit of the exploration of the world in some ways, and there were one or two quests that did show the challenge of travelling across Outland, typically this type of streamlining quest I found overall did complement Vanilla's questing once you got to Outland, and I appreciated that we had a consistent and manageable way to get from 60 to 70. With the PvE content we carried through a trait of vanilla in many ways, where whilst we did get more blue and epic gear throughout the expansion, there was still a feeling that gear had a bit more of an impact and certainly felt very valuable, especially at the introduction of Burning Crusade. And whilst not to Vanilla's standard maybe, there were certain things that I did look out for. For example, as a plate wearing class, a big step up for me always was getting the shoulder reward from a quest in Hellfire Ramparts, with those shoulders really carrying me through the majority of Outland, all mixed in with these great Warcraft themes that ran consistently and felt epic in nature, as if you were truly progressing in a way that mattered and was pretty satisfactory. Following suit, a big part of the consistency that Burning Crusade brought was its PvE content. Starting with dungeons, we had some excellent grouped dungeons that felt really embedded to the areas you leveled in, with their own little cute spaces, something that I feel we don't personally get too much in things like Retail WoW anymore, as we had groups like Hellfire Citadel hosting Ramparts, Shattered Halls and Blood Furnace, with Blood Furnace offering us a little peek down into Megtherodon's lair, which to me is one of the coolest introductions to a new raid ever. I absolutely love that this is such a teaser for the later content to come and blew my mind the first time I ran it. And we had the rundown area of Orchandoon with Orcanite Crypts, Mana Tombs and Shadow Labyrinth all really bringing what felt like some major spooky vibes. And we had some rather void-induced dungeons like the Mechanar and Botanica contrasted by the very illustrious Magister's Terrace. For me, these dungeons are always the reason I'll pick Burning Crusade on Chromie time, as the layout, progression and general vibe of them is peak WoW for me. Well, raiding certainly didn't disappoint either, with huge hitters like Black Temple and Sunworld Plateau, treating us to those front-on confrontations with those massive Warcraft characters like Illidan and Kil'jaeden. And to be honest, call me a classic Andy, but Black Temple still remains probably one of my favourite raids of all time. And every time it comes on the Town Walking raid event in retail, best believe I'm smashing that thing on all of my alts. Burning Crusade served as almost a continuation or pickup of the story that we saw in Warcraft 3, seeing firsthand the absolute destruction that the Burning Legion had caused to Draenor, turning into Outland. And partly why WoW is loved so much is feeding that deep-rooted fantasy that you can then explore firsthand for yourself. And well, Outland brought this just as much as Vanilla WoW did, as you're greeted instantly by the pit commander as you travel through the Dark Portal for the first time, seeing an amazing skyline filled with stars and galaxies, combated by the rough terrain that is Hellfire Peninsula. I mean, even getting ruffle stomped by the Fell Reaver felt like a novelty. And we had this entrenched with those iconic Warcraft characters like Illidan, Kil'jaeden, as well as the introduction of the first new races of Blood Elves and the Draenei. And well, in a game named World of Warcraft, it felt incredibly fitting that our first expansion quite literally gave us a whole new world to explore. In Classic WoW today, we talk a lot about wanting a Classic Plus project, an idea that we developed Vanilla WoW for new content. And well, back in the day, and especially after reliving Burning Crusade in Classic, I think a lot of people came to realise that we kind of did experience this in Burning Crusade, which is why it was so good, where gameplay still felt very much like Vanilla did by the end of Naxxramas, except we had those few extra additions to take how classes worked and a few more class race combinations for Horde and Alliance, seeing Horde get Paladins and Alliance get Shamans, that felt like we were truly living in an extension of World of Warcraft and not a completely new game. I think the last time we probably felt this was in Wrath of the Lich King, that maybe took classes just slightly over the edge of what they were in Vanilla, and then obviously Cataclysm was the first thing to revamp all classes entirely. Burning Crusade did a really great job treating the additions to classes like a nice little treat to essentially top off your class, that made classes feel somewhat just a bit better yet still grounded in the original game, essentially gave us that feeling of what Classic Plus should be. And whilst not perfect, there was still enough inconsistencies between each class to make sure that each class mattered in some way, all playing into part of of the charm that Burning Crusade still maintained from our original experience in WoW. And to be honest, I think it helped for nostalgia purposes that BC ended on a high with Sunwell Plateau, as people were then excited to head into Wrath and keeping it favourable looking back during WoW's history. But there we have it, enough reminiscing for today. Take off your nostalgia glasses and get back to farming Mythic Plus. Be sure to let me know what you loved about Burning Crusade and if you'd go back to it. Yet as always, take care out there and I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra for now.
As always, if you're new here, feel free to like and subscribe. And on that note, I think I'll say ta-ra for now, and I'll see you later.